Hi everyone, a very good afternoon to all of you present here. I'm Nitisha Jain, Assistant Manager of TaxBuddy.com, and my area of expertise is income tax. Today, in this webinar, we all are here to know about the topic, everything which you should know about the revised return, how you can file your revised return, what will be its time limit, who all needs to file the revised return. These all points we are going to discuss in our turn for you guys. If you have any queries during the session, you can just post down in the comment box and I'll answer every question over there. So without any further delay, let's move towards our today's agenda. We are going to discuss about the introduction part and after that the various steps which you should know for filing your revised return. So coming on to the introduction part, filing the income tax is easier and more precise when you have the knowledge about the basic questions like when to file an income tax return and how to file an income tax e-return. Let us learn more about filing revised returns under section 139(5) in the financial year 2021 and assessment year 21-22 and from next year onwards, which currently filed for financial year 21-22, which means assessment year 22-23. Filing of income tax returns might be difficult for many taxpayers. Though they are careful when filing their returns, they might commit some mistakes or forget to mention an income in their income tax return. If there are any mistakes with respect to your income tax return filing, the income tax department allows you a second chance to rectify such mistakes and file a correct income tax return. You can make revisions in your income tax returns as per the provisions of section 139(5) of the Income Tax Act. Now let's understand what a revised return is and how you can file it. So when do you file a revised return under section 139(5)? First thing which you should know when you have to file is to rectify errors or mistakes which are made in the original income tax return. If you have came to know that okay, I forgot to enter some source of income which I should enter now, in that scenario you have to revise your income tax return. If you have not disclosed any income or information which in the original income tax return, then you need to revise your ITR. Section 139(5) allows taxpayers to file a revised income tax return if they have made mistakes in the returns which were filed earlier. Such mistakes can be due to following reasons like any wrong bank account details, incorrect personal information, use of wrong income tax return form, or mismatch of income between the income tax return and Form 26AS, error in mentioning the residential status, unintentional omissions of recording foreign income or foreign assets, etc. In these and other cases of mistakes committed by the taxpayers, the facility of the revised income tax return is allowed by the Income Tax Act. When the taxpayer corrects the errors and refiles his income tax return, it is called as sorry, revised income tax return. So, let's take one example. To rectify personal details like residential status, address details, bank details, Aadhaar number, email, phone number, any nature of business code. If you have filed the wrong, selected the wrong ITR form, then in that case, you have to revise your ITR. Then if you have missed any reporting of any additional income or any say foreign income, then you need to revise your ITR. Second case, if you have received any kind of notice from the income tax department, that will also lead to revise your ITR. If the SSC agrees to mismatch in the notice for proposed adjustment, so you know that after submitting your original return, you will get an intimation notice under section 143(1). If in that notice you have received some kind of demand or anything, so in that 143(1) intimation, you agreed that okay, if whatever notice which you have received from the department is correct, and you have forgot to submit or you have forgot to include some income, due to that reason you have got the notice, then in that scenario you would need to revise your ITR. Then when the SSC pays the outstanding demand as per section 143(1), whatever demand has been raised by the department, if you have agreed to that demand and if you have paid that demand, then for paying that demand to include the remaining source of income which you have forgot, for that reason you need to file a revised return. If you file a belated income tax return with carry forward of losses, then you will be receiving notice under 143(1). To resolve this, you have to file revised return once you rectify your error. Then when there is a difference in the amount of income as per ITR and the gross income which is reflecting in your form 26AS or AIS form, annual information statement, then in that scenario also you will be receiving the notice from department under section 143(1) that your income is not matching as per your form 26AS or your AIS statement. So then so that is where department will raise a demand. In that scenario you have to file the again a revised income tax return, and there you need to rectify the errors which has been done by you. So in that case, you can also file rectification request. You can revise your income tax return. If there is error and you agree to that error, if there is any kind of outstanding demand which you have to pay, for that purpose, you have to file the revised return case. Then now the next question comes that who can file a revised income tax return under section 139(5). Any taxpayer who has already filed his or her ITRs can revise and refile an income tax return, even if the return is filed after the due date, which is called as belated income tax return. A revised return can be filed on such belated returns also. It's not compulsory that whosoever has filed their ITRs before 31st July can only revise their income tax return. Even for those people who are filing after 31st July, which means they are filing with penalty fees, which is called as belated income tax return filing, they can also revise the ITR. And it is always said that revised return steps into the shoes of original return. When you will file the revised return, then your original return will not be considered at all, and the revised return will be considered, and that will step into the shoes of your original return. This is always said. Now I'm trying to show the income tax website so that it will be easy for you to understand that how the steps are, what are the steps via which you can file your revised return, how you need to file it. Just give me a second. So for the purpose of filing the income tax return, for filing the revised return, what you need to do is you have to first of all go to the incometax.gov.in website. You have to log into the portal, right? After log into the portal, you have to enter your user ID and your password. Once you have done with that, then you need to go to e-file. Then the dashboard page will be in front of your screen, right? So then you will have to go to e-file tab, click on income tax returns. When you will choose the income tax return, you need to click on income tax return page opening following. Then in that you will see options of assessment year. Then select mode of online or offline, what you recommend. So like whatever scenario you are comfortable with, you have to select that. If you want to file online only, I mean online means at that moment you need to just click everything and file everything. At that moment your return will be revised. But offline means you need to upload JSON file for that or XML file. So once you have selected the assessment year, selected the mode of filing, which is online or offline, then you can click on continue. After clicking on continue, you have to select the select from the options available, that is resume filing of saved ITR form or start a fresh filing. If you are reaching out for like revised return for the first time, then only start new file will appear. Then selection of status is to be done to proceed further, like for your individual, HUF or others. Once you have selected the status as an individual, you can click on continue. Then you need to choose the correct ITR form to proceed. Is it ITR 1, 2, 3 or 4? Once you have selected that, you can click on continue. And then let's get started. Then they will ask you the question, brief question like anything. Then after that, you can just revise. Your entire original return will be in front of a screen. So you can start revising the idea, whatever income, if you have forgotten to include, that you can add, or any mismatch if you have found as per your form 26AS or as per your original ITR which you have filed. Whatever mismatches there, you can correct that and then file your correct revised return. There is a time duration within which the revised return should be filed. Duration is earlier of the following: 3 months before the completion of the relevant assessment year or the completion of assessment year. Completion of assessment. So for the financial year 21-22, if you have to file revised income tax return, then the revised return should be filed either before the completion of assessment or before 31st December 2022, whichever is earlier. So this is the time limit also. There are some things also which you should keep in mind if you are filing the revised ITR. So what are those things? If I talk about that, so in that thing is first thing is that revised income tax return would substitute the original income tax return completely. Thus, once the revised return is filed, it would be considered to be the final income tax return for the taxpayer. Remember this thing very clearly. Then second, if your ITR has been processed and you have availed a refund, revised return can be filed if it is filed within the specified due date. If the ITR form has to be changed, then you need to revise your ITR. Then you can file a revised income tax return as many as time as you want, as there is no limit to the number of times of filing the ITR. Say for example, you filed your original ITR. After that, you realize that you forgot to add one more source of income in other sources head, and then you revised your ITR. Again, after filing the revised ITR, you realize that you forgot something. You forgot to correct the bank account details. Let's say I'm taking this one example, okay? So second time you realize that you have entered the incorrect bank account details. Again, you can revise your ITR second time also. So likewise, in this way, you can revise your income tax return as many times as you want, as because there is no time limit to revise the ITR. Then the last point, if the assessment of your income tax return is completed by the assessing officer under provisions of 143(3), then a revised return cannot be filed. which means 143.3 says that if you have received the notice and your assessment will be completed by the assessing officer of income tax department. In that scenario, you cannot revise the ITR. No penalty or charge is levied by the department if you have filed a revised return. So if you have made the mistakes in filing your income tax return, given in technicalities involved, don't be afraid. You can file a revised return and correct any errors which you have made. If you don't file a revised return and there are any mistakes, the income tax department would issue you a notice stating your mistakes. So if you are eligible for any income tax refund, then the refund will not be allowed till the revised return is filed. So revise your income tax return if required and file the correct return so that you don't need to pay any extra taxes, or your refund amount is also received by you correctly. This was all about the refund thing, revised return, sorry. How you need to file a revised return and everything. Still, you need any kind of help, then you don't need to worry about anything. You can just visit to taxbuddy.com website, or you can just download the mobile app from Play Store, and you can just click on start filing. Or if you also need any future tax planning assistance services for the next financial year, which we have entered into, what investments you can make as per your salary structure, for all those tax planning services, for any kind of notice if you have received, for filing your revised return, for all these services, you can just visit to taxbuddy.com and avail the services over there. Tax expert will be assigned for your case and you don't need to worry about anything. Your entire work will be handled by them very professionally. So this was all about our today's webinar. I hope you really had a lot of information from this. Now I am happy to answer all the questions, if you have any. If you have any questions, you can just post down in the chat box. I think there are no questions. We can wind up the session. Thank you so much everyone for joining. See you in the next session. Thank you. Bye bye.